You don't even feel the bite. A tiny puncture, smaller than a pinprick, breaks the skin. But within seconds, your biology is completely hijacked. The venom entering your bloodstream isn't designed to put you to sleep. It is designed to overdrive your nervous system into total, catastrophic failure. This neurotoxin targets the exact receptors that tell your muscles to contract, flooding them with an unstoppable chemical signal. Your brain loses all control. First, your hands clench into fists so tight your fingernails break the skin. Then, your larger muscle groups ignite. Your arms, legs, and back spasm with such extreme, unrelenting force that the muscles actually begin to tear themselves away from the bone. The sheer tension can snap tendons and fracture limbs under your body's own power. This is the ultimate, terrifying reality of nature's most violent biological payload. It doesn't need to be strong enough to crush you. It simply turns your own physical strength into a lethal weapon. To understand how this nightmare becomes a reality, you have to look at the microscopic warfare happening inside your veins. Under normal circumstances, your brain sends a precise, measured electrical signal to a muscle telling it to move. Once the movement is done, an enzyme sweeps in and wipes the signal away, allowing the muscle to relax. It is a perfect, flawless system. But this venom acts like a biological crowbar. It wedges those chemical gateways open and destroys the enzymes meant to close them. The result is a condition known as tetany. Your muscles are receiving the command to fire at maximum capacity, hundreds of times a second, with absolutely no off switch. But the physical destruction is only half the story. What this venom does to your mind while your body tears itself apart is the part that will stay with you. Imagine the heaviest object you have ever tried to lift. Remember the burning in your arms, the strain in your core, the shaking of your muscles pushing themselves to their absolute physical limit. Now imagine that exact level of maximum exertion locking into place across your entire body, entirely against your will. Your jaw clamps shut with enough force to shatter your own teeth. Your back arches violently as the massive muscles along your spine overpower the muscles in your chest. The human body is simply not designed to withstand its own maximum output for more than a few seconds. When the contractions refuse to stop, the physical structure of the muscle fibers begins to shred. Lactic acid floods the tissue, essentially cooking the muscles from the inside. By the time the venom reaches the chest, the diaphragm, the massive muscle responsible for pulling air into the lungs, receives the exact same overwhelming command as the rest of the body. It contracts to its absolute maximum limit, and it stays there. The lungs cannot expand. The victim is fully conscious, their heart still desperately pumping blood, but they cannot take in a single breath. The body has effectively strangled itself. This specific class of neurotoxin does not cross the blood-brain barrier. That means your mind remains completely sharp, completely awake, and entirely trapped inside a body that is actively shutting down. What kind of creature needs a weapon this devastating? You might expect a massive apex predator, something that hunts large game. But the architect of this venom is small enough to hide inside the toe of your shoe. Deep in the tropical environments of South America, the Brazilian wandering spider has perfected this exact chemical payload. Other species, like Australia's funnel web, employ similar tactics, but the wandering spider is the ultimate delivery system. Its name is a perfect description of its hunting strategy. It doesn't build a web and wait passively. It actively patrols the jungle floor at night. But when the sun comes up, it needs a dark, sheltered place to hide from the daytime heat. This is where the human collision occurs. They crawl into boots left outside, into piles of discarded clothing, or inside bunches of harvested bananas. When a human foot slides into a boot occupied by a wandering spider, the animal is crushed. It reacts with absolute defensive fury. It doesn't just bite once. It holds on, rearing back and driving its fangs in repeatedly, pumping massive doses of excitatory neurotoxins deep into the muscle tissue. Alongside the violent muscle spasms and the tearing of tissue, the venom forces a massive, uncontrolled spike in blood pressure and extreme localized pain. It forces the cardiovascular system to work so hard that even young, otherwise healthy victims can experience sudden, massive heart failure. The venom doesn't just exhaust the skeletal muscles, It exhausts the heart itself. Medical intervention is the only way to break the loop. If a victim makes it to a hospital, the protocol is aggressive. High-dose muscle relaxants and specialized antivenoms are pumped into the body to neutralize the circulating toxins. And here is the brutal part about antivenom. It doesn't undo anything. It only stops the venom from continuing its attack. Any muscle fibers that have been shredded, any tendons that have snapped, any renal failure caused by the massive breakdown of muscle tissue flooding the kidneys, that damage is already done. Recovery from a severe excitatory neurotoxin bite can take months of intensive physical therapy just to teach the body how to coordinate smooth movements again. This is the absolute peak of the evolutionary arms race. Predators develop thicker skin, prey develops longer fangs. Predators get faster, prey gets more venomous. But the neurotoxin is the ultimate trump card. It completely bypasses the need for physical confrontation. You do not have to overpower an enemy if you can simply hack their internal communications network. In the wild, there is no malice in this. The spider isn't angry. The venom isn't evil. It is simply the brutal, unforgiving math of survival. A problem existed: how to stop a massive predator from eating a tiny arachnid, and evolution provided a mathematically perfect solution. Bypass the armor, ignore the size, and attack the absolute foundation of the predator's movement. We view ourselves as apex predators, insulated by technology and modern medicine. But our nervous systems are fundamentally no different from the primates that these spiders have been defending themselves against for millions of years. We share the same chemical receptors, the same biological wiring. To the venom, we are not special. We are just another large mammal, vulnerable to the exact same chemical override. The fact that such a microscopic amount of fluid can completely override decades of human development and growth in seconds is the ultimate humbling reality of nature. We are talking about fractions of a milligram. A volume of liquid smaller than a single raindrop holds enough chemical code to completely dismantle the human body's operational software. The next time you walk through the woods or reach into a dark corner of your garage, remember the invisible wars being fought just out of sight. A single misstep, a single brush against the wrong hidden predator, is all it takes to trigger a chemical reaction that has been millions of years in the making. And once that chemical sequence begins, there is no turning it off.